Hey guys, it's Pat from Pat's Brewery and we're drinking some leftovers. No, I'm not doing a dirty pint and pouring the rest of my beers, end of kegs into a pint glass. Don't be disgusting. No, we are having a pint of a end of year-ish brew. So I've done this a couple of times in the past, calling it things like leftovers or use it up grains or something. Effectively, you know, it's one of those brews that you pull together using the end of a sack of grain, because you've just got little bits here and there, because you know when the recipe says that you need, you know, a kilo and 50, you go, well, not kilo 50, a kilo 0.35 or something. So you go, well, I might as well buy, you know, a kilo and a half, you know, round it up. So you end up having 150 grams left over of a certain grain, and you go, oh, what am I going to do with that then? I mean, I've been doing a lot better recently with regards to a lot of my grain orders, and just going, when looking at recipes and stuff, going, oh, up that or drop it a little bit just to make even numbers, so I have less of this leftover grain. But you know, over the last year and even the year before, you know, it builds up with regards to these little extra bits. And in the past, when I've done one of these leftover beers, it always ends up being quite dark. Well, I decided that this year, when I did it, no grains that were darker than something like, I think I said no grains darker than 15 EBCs or something like that. I might have one that was slightly darker. But anyway, the whole purpose was still to make a pale. So, do I know what we had in there? Let's pour ourselves a glass of it, and then I'll tell you the recipe. Oh. Yeah, I think I've overcarbed this one. Oh well, hopefully it'll drop down at some point. Yeah, I better talk you through the recipe while that dies down. So, so what did we have? So I had 40 grams of random wheat. I had 24 grams of Crystal Light. I had 20 grams of the bag just said Cara. I had another bag of wheat of 350 grams. I had 800 grams of flaked oats, which I just, you know, I don't even know when I last bought flaked oats individually, so that could be a number of years old. Now that doesn't obviously make up a full beer, so we did buy some standard pale malt, 4.5 kilos added in to it as well. So that was the grain bill. As I say, I wanted to keep it light, so I do actually have a load of other darker grains that I could have thrown in there but didn't. But that was the grain bill. With regards to the hops, again, I wanted to use up hops that I had. So we finished up a bag of Challenger. I used 30 grams of that at the 60-minute boil to give us 17 IBUs. Then I used up the remainder of my Citra. I had 27 grams of that, and I used that for a Whirlpool edition. I also had 25 grams of Centennial to use up, so I threw that in at Whirlpool as well. And then I had a bag of mosaic that had 45 grams in that, so I put that in the whirlpool as well. In regards to the dry hopping, well, I had another bag of mosaic that was unopened, and I thought I still want to put some more mosaic in there, so I did. But to determine how much, I then looked at what else I had, and I had 40 grams of Amarillo, and I had 40 grams of IHO33, which is, I've spoken about before. I used it in my last hazy IPA, New England IPA, and it's kind of this lemony sort of hop, which is quite nice, quite like that. Anyway, I looked 40 grams of each of those left, so I married that up with also 40 grams of mosaic. So it's basically even across the board, apart from on the whirlpool, there's you know, extra bit of mosaic in there, so maybe that could be something that shines through. I don't know. As I said, I didn't really care too much of it on this brew day with regards to how it went. It's more along the lines of, oh, I've had that for a while, let's put this down. With regards to yeast, so I had a pack of M66 dry yeast, which is a hazy yeast. Had that for a little while, hadn't got around to using it. And I also had a pack of USO5, which I hadn't got around to using, and that was had actually been left out on the shelf, so I threw them both in. Again, so this is actually a slapdash sort of brew day that I'm not really expecting that much of this beer. I guess we're kind of looking at maybe it being classed as a hazy pale. I think it's so its original gravity was 1054, final gravity was 1012, which makes it, I think, just under 6%. With regards to haziness, is it really a hazy beer? No, it's more of a, it's definitely a pale. I don't think it's going to really clear out, but I don't think it's classed as a hazy beer. But let's have a little see. So I only tried a little sample of this yesterday. No one's going to be offended by that. No, that's, you know what, considering this is such a slapdash pull together of a beer, I think you know, that's not bad at all. It is pulling a lot of that citrus grapefruit flavours. It's kind of quite a saliva drawing taste, kind of got in the back of the throat. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. It's a shame I'm never going to be able to recreate this. Or, you know I just read it all out to you, but it's, you know, when it comes to these odds and ends, you know, how much of it was efficiency with regards to, you know, those flaked oats. I don't know if you bought new flaked oats, they'd probably actually give a lot more haziness than what's in this right now, so you wouldn't get the same kind of, I don't know, I'm talking rubbish. I just really wanted to have a beer and have a chat, so that's what we're doing. Not bad though. Tell you what. So when I was fermenting this, I was fermenting it under pressure, and I always clear out my keg with the offshoot from the spunding valve. So you know, you're filling the keg up with CO2 from the fermenter. That way you get, you know, some of those hop oils that's in the CO2 also in the keg as well, theoretically. But yeah, you know, get rid of that nasty oxygen anyway. But with the spunding valve that I then put on the keg, for some reason it's done up all the way, and actually I ended up putting these yeasts under like 30 psi pressure, which they're not designed really for. The only thing that people have really said about putting it under that sort of pressure might be saying like Kveik or something. And so yeah, that was an interesting thing. The next, well no, it wasn't the next day, the day after, I think I popped into the brewery and just went, shit, that's a little bit high. You know, so quickly drop the pressure down. But I do think because of that, obviously I use a eye spindle, and it measures, you know, what the gravity is. Now, it only just started fermenting at you know, at that point. So as I say, there's probably, let's say 36 hours into fermenting from the point of the yeast going in, and it started you know, adjusting the gravity. But as soon as I dropped that pressure from 30 back down to 15, literally within another hour, the yeast must have just gone, oh fuck, I can breathe, I can do something, and it just consumed the sugars that were in there. And actually we were completely fermented out in 3 days, in like 72 hours. We were right down to 10, 12. So yeah, I was actually able to, yeah, as I say, ferment in like 3 days. I then dropped the temperature down to 14 degrees the next day. Then we ended up dry hopping for 3 days, and then, you know, just over a week later, popped it in a keg, and it's been a week since then, and now we're drinking it. So can't be too wrong. I mean, so I was umming and ahhing about this one because the East Anglia Homebrew Club, which I'm not a part of, just because their closest meetup is still like an hour's drive away from me, and it's even longer if you try and get there by train. So, but they are doing a Christmas calendar. You know, submit or hand in a beer, 24 bottles, and they'll give you back a case of 24 bottles of different people's homebrew. So you get a different beer every day. Now, I'm probably not going to be able to get around to brewing again. I might get one more brew in before Christmas, but what I'm actually planning on, I'm planning on doing a lager, a Czech lager hopefully, but I don't think that will be suitable for this exchange. So But the way that that's gone down, I'm half tempted to put this one into the ring, see what comes out. I mean, it's not a competition or anything, it's literally just a beer share. But, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I mean, I'm enjoying this. I mean, visually, I'm enjoying the colour. I think that the colour being that nice kind of straw kind of colour, I think that looks good. Head retention doesn't seem to be that great, but oh well. I say the flavour, yeah, it's in general people are just going to go, oh yeah, that's just a standard American IPA style of beer. But I've drunk a hell of a lot worse. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I will. Anyway, I think that'll do us. Pat from Pat's Brewery, drinking the remainders of 2023 Pale Ale. Cheers.